Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Legendarium podcast. I am Craig, your host, and actually right next to me, I don't even have to hit the camera button. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Craig.
It's Megan with me.
Up?
And we've got Stephanie as well. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
And sitting next to you, a very special guest. Panda, introduce yourself.
I'm BefuddledPanda from the green team of the Legendarium.
So, Panda, I'm just going to, I know it's BefuddledPanda.
Yes.
That's your handle on Discord, but today we're just going to go with Panda.
Yes.
Because
Perfect.
I am extremely lazy. But Panda was driving through town, and we said, you do the green team.
Happened to be in town.
Yeah, we've got to get you on the show.
Yeah.
So we are doing, we're just doing kind of an impromptu Wheel of Tangents. Going to have a little fun, enjoy some conversation here. I hope you guys all enjoy it too. All of you out there listening. If you do, please go to thelegendarium.com, check out our wares, support, all of the hard-hitting reporting that happens at thelegendarium.com. We break all sorts of news. If you'd like to know what really happened in Roswell or who killed Kennedy, it's all there. What are you doing? Okay, Megan's being weird.
I'm trying to figure out what you're looking at.
The Legendarium.
You're not looking to the camera, but you're not looking at anyone. You're just like staring at the wall.
Yeah,
Intently. Are you?
Why? And why wouldn't I? And why wouldn't I?
It's true,
Okay.
she looks nice.
So please go to thelegendarium.com. You can also check out Patreon. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Patreon, where you can go join in the fun. If you join our Patreon for as little as $1 an episode, then you get access to the patron channel on Discord. So it's patrons only. It's not. It hasn't been as active these days, Panda.
That's your fault.
That is my fault. But I was going to say, one of the nice things about it is if you want me to cut loose a little bit, if you want Ryan to cut loose a little bit, we'll do that in the patron channel a lot more than in the regular public channels. So I don't know if that's a draw, but it's there. And the other thing I was going to say, Legendariumcon, that is coming up at the end of May. So I think it's May 28th, if I'm remembering the dates correctly. So it's Memorial Day weekend. May 28th is a Saturday. We'll be in Portland, Oregon, doing a live show. We're going to be, doing panels and who knows what else for a day or two up in Portland. And you can check out details for that at thelegendarium.com. All right, so now that we've got all that out of the way, ladies, we are going to be spinning the wheel. Mm-hmm. And by we, I mean Panda.
Yeah.
Panda's going to be spinning the wheel. Gosh. We have 8 topics, and, we've done it in the past where we have, 24 topics, and we're trying to rip through a bunch of stuff. Today we have 8, so we can we can let our non-proverbial hair down. All of us have long hair here.
Yes. Are you going to let your hair down, Craig? It's up in a nice French twist right
you're
now.
the only one who hasn't.
My hair is now down. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So my hair is now down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention YouTube. If people want to see my awful long hair, and no, I understand it looks better short. Don't care. Shut up. Then you can go to YouTube and check it out. Okay. So Panda's going to be spinning the wheel, and we're going to take our time with these topics. So let's just go for it.
Ready?
Panda. Yeah. Spin the wheel. Let's see what the little book of whiskey points at.
Yeah.
It's not the best.
You didn't practice ahead of time.
It's number 2. Number 2 is your favorite classic monster. I believe this one came from Chesky. Mm-hmm. Favorite classic monster. So we're talking about the creature from the Black Lagoon. We're talking about Godzilla, vampires, and werewolves, and kind of that Universal Studios, horror movies from the 20s. Yeah, that kind of thing. So favorite classic monster. Megan, do you have one on this?
Yeah, I think I do.
You look very thoughtful.
I feel thoughtful ever since you asked this question, 10 seconds ago. I think I really, right now, I'm kind of enjoying the whole zombie genre.
Yeah.
So I feel like people are trying to reinvent it, but in ways I actually find interesting.
So what?
You have something like Pride and Prejudice and zombies. You have something like World War Z, which is amazing.
Yes.
I like the zombies in World War Z.
Agreed.
What I hear you saying is that the classic monster, the classic zombie, you don't actually like, but you like.
I've read a lot of classic zombie literature. It's mostly been this updated thing.
Doesn't have to be literature. It can be movies.
I don't know. There's just something about zombies. I like that they're slow and they can be outrun. I like that we know how to get rid of them. World War Z, they are slow in the book.
Yes.
They're not in the
I
movie,
see.
but
Okay.
in the books,
Right.
they are very slow and get stuck in their cars because they can't undo.
Did you like the
seatbelts.
Will Smith I Am Legend? where they're like technically vampires, but they play as zombies, but they're fast, and I didn't really get it.
Weirdly, I don't generally like horror flicks, but that one I didn't mind so much.
Yeah, I like that one. All right. Yeah. Any other answers? Maybe from the couch side of the room?
No.
Favorite monster?
So I always have had an affinity for vampires.
Mm-hmm.
I love.
She says I hesitate to describe the
Which
smirk.
vampires, Stephanie?
I don't know. I've always loved vampires and the idea of vampires. Maybe not so much. And I maybe kind of like Megan, where I like the reimagining.
Here's my question for you, Stephanie.
Don't even bring up Twilight. I don't want to hear it.
No. What I want to know is, what is the thing on your lap that you're compulsively stroking
I am too.
as you talk about vampires, and how she's kind of like, I wish I could, for the podcast listeners, I wish I could describe it. It's almost like a Furby before you got it wet and it turned into a gremlin.
No, it isn't.
I don't know exactly what it is, but she's sitting there going, imagine me petting something in front of me going, I love vampires. Yeah. Delicious.
No, Panda brought us little baby nifflers, and I have one too.
It's a niffler from the Fantastic Beasts. Harry
Potter.
Potter.
Oh, yeah. I saw one of those and promptly forgot it.
I think they're adorable. If you had listened to mine and Megan's Harry Potter episode, then you would understand the love.
The
of
first
the
two are on HBO Max. Fantastic Beasts.
That's right. I think
the new one's coming out. So it's a baby niffler, and he's really soft.
I heard the second one wasn't good though.
And it's.
I like the second one better than the first one.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one wasn't very good. So.
No, this is true.
Okay. So anyway, Stephanie, you like vampires.
Yes, I like vampires. But like Megan, so I think I'm more like, I like the reimagining idea of vampires. I've read a lot of different, mostly like young adult, teenage vampire books, because that seems to be those are written for, I guess.
Yeah.
And just like the idea, I love the idea of.
Just, tilt your mic down a little bit so we can see.
I love the idea of immortality, I guess, that
you should read the Silmarillion with us.
That would take forever.
No, it wouldn't.
Much like immortality.
What would I do
the Wheel of
with
Time?
my
She's not
eternity?
actually immortal that I know of.
Good catch.
We can talk later.
That might ruin my immortality because I will die reading that book. But
you'll die reading the map chapter.
So Stephanie, let me ask you this, because I want to dig into the vampire thing a little bit.
Okay.
Not a ton, but
you mean sink your teeth into the vampire?
I do not. No.
I'm so proud of that.
No. So is it the kind of inherent sexiness of vampires? Like this kind of goes to the what do you call the books, the genre that you like that you are torturing Ken with? The period dramas, romance.
I like the Regency novels.
Regency romance.
Yes.
Right. Where it's kind of like the latent sexuality often,
Maybe.
of things that, like, does that have a draw?
Maybe.
With the vampires?
I don't know. I have to remember, like, the first vampire movie I ever remember watching was Buffy. The movie Buffy.
The movie, yeah.
Not the TV show, the movie.
Which gets a little hairy. Yeah.
I can't even remember how old I was, but that was the first vampire movie I don't know, that baby. I have never thought of it that way, actually.
I'm glad that you haven't thought of the baby that way.
Oh, yes. But there's like a sexual component, I guess, to vampires that I've never thought about. But
really?
It's there. It's obviously there.
Right.
I remember, I'm not going to go there. There was a movie I remember with a female vampire and a teenage boy.
Oh.
And I can't remember what movie. It was like an 80s movie.
This is a little off topic, but a little on topic. Did you guys ever watch Lost Girl? It was like this Canadian show.
Yes, she's a succubus.
She's a succubus, but it plays very much like a vampire kind of situation, right? Yeah. So she's a succubus. She gets her like, she feeds off of sexual energy. And so the whole show is just shot through with kind of like cheesy PG-13 basic cable sex. And so there is that aspect of it, but it's also, it's like a detective show kind of. It's a lot of fun.
I just remember there was this movie, and there was like this vampiress, whatever you want to call her, that to keep going in her immortality, to keep her youthful beauty or whatever, she had to drink the blood from the artery that goes through the groin of this boy.
Now we're talking.
So, but it was like an 80s movie, and I could look up the name of it, but
80s movies get kind of trippy.
So I don't know. But anyway, vampires. Now that that was weird.
I think we've all learned something about Stephanie today, and you know what? I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I don't mind knowing this.
I'm with you, Megan. I like zombies. They're a big favorite. But I think I like King Kong.
Oh, okay.
And Godzilla. So the big recognizable monsters, where King Kong obviously is just a giant gorilla. Godzilla
Kind of mindless.
Godzilla he's a little different, a mutated lizard of some kind. But I like the possibilities that the giant, what do they call them? Kaijus?
Yeah.
That they open up, where there's, when Godzilla first came out in Japan in the 50s, it's all about radiation and the fear of nuclear weapons and all that stuff. And that's so interesting. And, but you can interpret them in any manner of ways. Where did they come from? What do they represent? Why do we fear them? Why do we love them? I like the idea of crossing them with other mythologies. So like Godzilla, is he one of the ancient ones from Lovecraft? Something like that.
Yeah.
Where you can do fun stuff with them. I think the kaiju opens up a ton of story doors. Okay. So yeah, right. I really like those. Okay. Did you guys ever see Pacific Rim?
Yep. No.
It's like
it's cheesy.
Oh, it's the worst.
It is so cheesy.
It's the worst best movie ever, or the best bad movie. Yeah, whatever. I love it so much.
You need that kind of dumb joy in your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Panda, what do you got?
I'm also in the vampiric camp.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, for all the same reasons.
Well,
groinal arteries.
Well, I think the myth of Dracula is very interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't actually read Dracula because I
was bored. Like that was probably one of the few vampire books that I've read that I was just bored out of my mind.
I was going to say it takes a long time for anything to happen in that book.
Okay.
And then when it does, it's very like short-lived and it's over and done with. And I'm like, oh well. Mm-hmm. Like
did either of you watch the Netflix Dracula thing that popped up maybe a couple of years ago?
No,
the year or two ago, something like that. It's a 3 or 4 part kind of mini series, and they're all an hour and a half long. But it's short. It's 3 or 4 episodes long, and it was really, really, really well done for like the first 3 of the 4 episodes.
Okay.
And the 4th episode, they took a big swing.
Okay.
And I don't think it connected, but I appreciate the big swing. I won't tell you what they did because I do recommend it. I recommend the show.
Something unexpected.
Yeah, and it is unexpected.
I support that.
And they go there, and it either wins or loses, and I'm sure it'll be different for everybody. But yeah, you should check it out if you like vampires, and if you want to go classic or like a modern telling of the classic version of Dracula. It's really, it's cool. Yeah, you should check it out.
I found my movie.
Oh, yeah?
Oh. It's called Once Bitten, and it actually stars Jim Carrey. It was made in 1985, so a very young Jim Carrey.
Is he the teenage boy?
Yes.
So was this before Earth Girls Are Easy? Which is another really dumb, terrible movie that you shouldn't look up because it's really the worst.
The vampire countess needs to drink the blood of a virgin in order to keep her eternal beauty. It seems that all is hopeless until she bumps into Mark Kendall.
Bumps?
That's what it says.
Bumps into what now?
Into Mark Kendall.
Mark Kendall's...
Played by Jim Carrey.
His Kendall.
Oh, no.
So there you go. 1985. Once Bitten.
And I thought I had to worry about me.
Oh, no. All right. Should we spin the wheel again? I think it's about that time.
Do it.
Okay, Panda's spinning the wheel. What do we got? Number 3. Number 3. How long? Okay, is this another Chesky? How long between unwritten books before you give up on the series? Okay, so obviously we have high-profile versions of this. We think of the Pat Rothfuses, the George Martins, whatever. But they are not the only ones. There are series that go a long time without being finished, or go a long time between books being written. So yeah, what's your theory? What's your philosophy behind this? Your personal feelings?
On the one hand, I'm like, as long as the author is still alive and can still write, like there's still hope.
Okay.
But once the author is gone, then there is basically no hope unless you have the whole Brandon Sanderson.
Unless you're Brandon Sanderson
I was going to
writing.
say, but
situation.
even with him, like, how long ago did he write The Rhythmatist? And he still hasn't, like, we have no idea if there's ever if he said anything about a sequel ever. And people have been clamoring
But
for it
that's a
forever.
little different, right? Because did he start off with it meaning for it to be a series? So if it's not meant to be a series, then I don't think that quite applies.
I'm one of those where I'm like, there are just so many books to read. I don't mind, like, just kind of putting that over there until other future ones are written. Like, there are some that I'm just like, okay, I guess I will just enjoy these perfect first 2 books, Patrick Rothfuss, and just not going to worry about the third one.
Is the
I'm
second
assuming
book
that'll
really
never
perfect?
happen.
I have not.
No,
get real.
no, it's not. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
In parts.
that's,
In parts.
yeah.
Not the whole thing.
so then he goes into the fairyland, becomes a sex god. I'm like, well, okay. I guess you had to get there somehow.
Sex gone, you're mistake.
Don't.
No?
Did you just make up this song?
Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? You're serious.
I'm
You never
serious.
heard Sex Bomb?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know what we're doing after this episode.
All right. We're going to listen to Sex Bomb and then watch. What was the movie with Sex
One
Bomb?
One spitting.
One spit.
No.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
The one with Michael Cera in a band called Sex Bomb.
Oh, Scott
Juno?
Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
Oh,
Thank you.
I like
Good
that
heavens.
one.
Okay, where were
I'm
we?
a fan. I don't know. Stephanie was going to tell us how long it takes for her to give up on a book series.
For me, it depends on how much I liked the book in the first place.
Yeah.
Because there are some books that I've read the first book and I could care less whether the series is ever finished. Because like I forget about it. It's
sure.
not even necessarily like that if I had another book to read right soon after that I wouldn't read it. It's just it was forgettable and I was like, oh yeah, I read that once, but I don't remember anything about it, so I'm not going to pick up whatever just came out. But there are other books that I've read, and it definitely is like the more books you have in the series, the more I want them finished. So if I'm going to put the effort of reading 5 books into what should be a 7-book series, and I'm
Sure.
still waiting for years and years and years for books 6 or 7, that gets frustrating. But I'd probably still wait.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps if I get into a series like late into the series, like the Dresden Files, where, I mean, he published his most recent one not that long ago. What?
Year and a half, 2 years ago.
October.
Was it just last year?
No,
it
I'm
was 2
sorry.
years ago. Yeah.
It was a while
Year
ago.
and a
But
half.
like something like that, I had 18 books to read, and then I got there and I'm like, I can reread those 18 books. Like, that's cool. I do hope he finishes it, but also it stops in a good place where I could stop reading it, and in fact was very angry at the ending. It's like, maybe I will stop reading these. I won't. I will keep reading.
Yeah.
If whenever he writes them.
Yeah, I think I can't remember which of you said it's kind of contextual. There's no hard and fast rule for like, well, if it's been 4 years, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Because I just looked it up, and the Bands of Mourning, so Mistborn, Era 2, Book 3, or, not that we're getting confusing or anything. Thanks, Brandon. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Bands of Mourning came out January 2016, and we're finally getting the finale 6.5 years later this
But
year.
see, he's alive and
Well,
he
right.
can write.
But
He is
that's-
alive, and some of the other books that he's written kind of relate.
Sure.
a little bit.
Yeah, but it's not just that he's alive. It's not just that he's kept writing, but it's that he's kept in contact with his fans and told
Yeah,
them,
that's fair.
"Here's where I'm at with it. I'm trying. I'm planning to write it this, whatever upcoming year.
Yeah.
Here's the plan." And so you kind of get this. It assuages your, whatever discomfort you might feel with other authors who
Yeah, and
just
it
kind of
helps
leave
that he
it up in
does
the air.
follow through when he says this is the plan. He follows through and he does it.
Usually. Yeah, not always.
Enough of the
but-
time that you.
but he communicates.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you take that versus like just kind of the mystery, and I do not like to pick on Pat Rothfuss for this, but it is a good example. People have been waiting for a long time, and so I am going to bring it up. I'm actually far more understanding than I think many internet people are.
I have a
Thank you,
follow-up
internet
question,
people.
actually.
But well, hang on. Let me finish my
Okay.
point, which is
Remember
just
the
that
question.
that he kind of he tends to do a lot of teasing and like, oh, I've been working on it. I've got a draft. I don't like where it's at. So what are your plans? What are you working on it? He's like, well, I've got this charity. And you're like, well, that's great. That's great. But because of that, because of the lack of communication, I kind of checked out after, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Where, after that point, I was just like, okay, if we ever get it, we'll get it. And I'll be ecstatic to get a book 3 out of him. That'll be great. But I am no longer going to waste any energy thinking about it, worrying about it. So I don't know, 5 or 6 years. There's my answer. Depending on context. Okay, what's your question, Panda?
How much would you expect the publisher to be involved when that situation happens? Like if somebody is, published through a normal publishing house, right? Because typically the editors, the publisher, they'll set deadlines for the author as well.
Yeah, but we were just having this conversation in the car, me and Ryan and Stephanie, about how you can't force a kid to go to sleep.
Yep, that's true.
You can set a bedtime and you can put them in bed, but you can't literally make them sleep. And so, in a similar, though imperfectly similar way, a publisher can say, here's your deadline, but you can't, if the writer if they have writer's block, or if they don't want to finish the series for whatever reason, you can't literally force them to do it.
But more on the communication part with the readers, with the market.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how much should, fill in the blank Del Rey, Tor, whatever, how much should they communicate with the fan base about this stuff?
I mean, I don't really follow the Martin Rothfuss stuff.
Right.
I mean, not planning on reading Game of Thrones. Didn't finish Wiseman's Fear. But in terms of the brand, right? The publishers, that is a brand for them. So when they want to, or they don't care.
They might be just as in the dark as the rest of us are. The author could be like, oh yeah, I'm working on it. Well, what are we supposed to I don't know, as a publisher, if I'd want to be like, oh yes, we've had a commitment for this time, but then have to constantly be backtracking when the author doesn't come through.
Yeah.
Well, that and it's such a fast-paced business that I'm sure it's like, hey, you've missed these deadlines. Get us the book if you can, but we're moving on. We've got other authors. We've got other books to push, and we can't we can't spend the next 2 years babying you through the process. And keeping fans excited in the hopes that you'll publish it when we don't know if we'll get a return on that investment. But if we keep the machine running and churn out all these other authors and all these other books, then we'll strike gold with some of these other ones. And, so it's, I guess in that way, an author might run the risk of becoming less relevant.
Well, I'm very curious when some of these authors who have taken a lot of time to gear up to writing their next book or their last book or whatever, what kind of excitement there may be, if it's less, if it's been a long time, or if it's more, if Rothfuss said, hey, guess what? We're going to publish this in the second quarter of 2024 and we're going to make it happen. Would people start getting excited and would sales ramp up again? And because I just think about how Ken keeps saying, oh, hey, the last Red Rising book, they're the third one in the second Red Rising trilogy. It's going to come out later this year. And he said to me earlier today, I'll get excited when they actually have a publication date. And until then, I'm like, none of us really remember what happened in the first trilogy. So we'd have to review that before we start reading them. But
that's actually a good example of the author communicating with the fans, because he did say, I need more time to make the story right and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And then he also says, okay, recently he announced that it is with the publisher or the editor now.
Cool.
So we're like, okay, progress has been made.
We can get excited again.
Yeah.
Brent Weeks did something similar with the Lightbringer Trilogy, which was going to be a trilogy. And then, he was very communicative with his fans and said, hey, first of all, I need more time. Second of all, I need 3 more books. So it became a 5-book series.
Pentology.
A pentology. Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so I think the communication just goes a very, very long way. And I am now communicating that we should spin the wheel again.
I hear
so
you.
The
let's-
and
life
second it.
lessons learned on the Legendarium.
There we go. All right, number five. Oh, I just lost my doc. What cosplay? All right.
You're welcome for this question, world.
What cosplay should Craig do now that he has long hair? All right. So first of all, for those watching, all right, let's make sure we get. It's what would you say? A little more than shoulder length.
Yeah, it's like 2 inches past the shoulder.
Yeah. All right.
Just a slight curl at the bottom.
Yeah. It's a nice. It's feathered and lethal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
you
okay.
do not have like thin hair. It's not super thick, but it's nice, luxurious hair.
So what cosplay should I do, Megan? This is your question. It's your answer.
This is my question. I mean, something like that always makes me think of some sort of knight. But I don't
knight?
want to prop you up too much and be
Do they
like,
have
you
fat
should
knights?
totally be Aragorn, actually.
Are fat knights a thing?
Say I want you to be.
Faragorn, fat Aragorn. Ooh, I could do like Fat Thor, but fat Aragorn.
Oh my gosh. I knew this lady once at FanX and she was dressed as Fat Thor, like this woman dressed as
Yeah.
Fat Thor. And for the belly, she had found a hairy belly fanny pack.
Oh no.
And it was so funny because we'd be standing there and we were talking to her. She was in front of us in a line and she would just open it up and pull out gummy worms. It was amazing.
That's creepy.
It's really creepy.
So
But
any
I
other
think
submissions to the
you'd be a really good
I mean, I
Boromir.
was thinking along the night.
Yeah, like he'd be a
Thread,
really
but,
good Boromir.
I can't.
Want to
I was
start with
like,
that?
Ew.
one does not simply cosplay Boromir.
No, but you could do it in a
Okay.
complicated way.
No, dude. So, well,
Okay, I'm
so
probably
you're
gonna
going with that one?
mispronounce his name. Aomir.
Aomer? Oh, I'm not nearly that good looking. Good lord,
Oh,
that man,
nobody is.
that is that's an attractive man.
Carl Urban.
Yeah, I don't think I can pull that off.
I will keep
Oh,
my
yeah.
comments to myself.
Stephanie, any thoughts on this one?
I guess I like.
What
'Cause
I'm
you-
curious about, I have mine.
Yeah, I know what
brought
you're going
up-
to say, so I didn't want to say
You brought
it.
up a cosplay around Halloween
Uh-huh.
of doing Snape.
Yeah.
And so now that's what I have in my head is
I mean, you've got
you
the facial
doing
hair right now.
Snape.
Let me take you in the way back machine to 2016, the last time I had long hair. Okay, so I finally grew long hair. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to style it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So it was terrible. It was garbage. I mean, it's bad now, but it was awful then. And it's but I had this idea. I was like, I'm gonna get to Halloween and go as Snape. Like this will be great. I'll have I can dye it black. I can have the curtains that it describes. And I'm even I'm a little heavier set, much like what's the Alan Rickman was kind of in his later years. So I was like, this is perfect. If I can get a good set of robes, this is perfect. It was like October 12th, I want to say. It was either 12th or 13th, something like that. I'm at work and I just kind of on a whim, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get my hair cut during lunch. So I did. I went and got my hair cut. On my way back to work, I remembered that I was planning to go as Snape like 2 or 3 weeks later. And I was devastated. I was really upset. And so, Stephanie, I think I even talked to you last Halloween about Harry Potter robes and kind of didn't follow up because you were super busy.
Yeah.
But it's still on my mind.
Would you dye it black?
Sure. Yeah, if it was like a temporary dye, yeah, I would
Do a
that.
washout thing. I figured out which night that I feel like you should do, and it is the Tom Cruise character in The Last Samurai.
Oh no, I'm too tall for that.
You'd look good in the armor, though.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. I think I'd get lit up for cultural appropriation though. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There was that Matt Damon. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah. Let's not. Oof. What was that? The
you want
Great
me to
Wall.
spin?
Maybe we spin the wheel again. What do you think? I like it. I like the way your brain works. Number four. Okay. So number 4 is, which character would you like to see in a different genre? Okay. So whose question was this originally? Ken, I think, brought it up at dinner today. Yes. Yes. Everyone be jealous. We all went to dinner and had a lot of fun.
It was delicious.
Okay, so what character would you like to see in a different genre? So what were his examples were like, oh gosh, I don't even remember.
He said
I barely
to me,
listened to Ken.
He said to me,
was like, he was at the opposite end of the
He'd
table.
want to see like Kaladin in a romance. And I thought that was funny because Kaladin would hate being in a romance.
That's true, but that might actually make it
It would be really entertaining.
an interesting story. Yeah.
He said Frodo in a comedy.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nah, early Frodo maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I have a great answer for this one. Do you guys have your own, or should we just regurgitate some of Ken's and spin the wheel again?
Little Mermaid in Sci-Fi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know every once in a while I bring up the Lunar Chronicles, or I used to back in the day, but there is a short story connected with the Lunar Chronicles called The Little Mermaid, or The Little Android. And it's the Little Mermaid, but she's so good.
Okay, I haven't read that one.
I kind of like the idea. So in Dune, is it the Emperor who has to like go around in a special
Harkonnen, Baron Harkonnen?
No, not Baron Harkonnen. Cast your mind back to the 1984 version.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Baron Harkonnen in the giant tank?
Hugely fat guy that has to bounce around.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm picturing a specialized vessel for Ariel to like travel the stars in. Like like her bottom half is like in a tank at all times. It's like a wheelchair, but it's a tank of water that she can like I don't know exactly how this all works, but in my head, it doesn't at all. So
by this idea.
Yeah.
I do like this kind of genre mixing.
Now I'm sitting here trying to think of how is she breathing as she's traveling through outer space.
You
took care of her tail.
Yeah.
But she still can't breathe.
I mean, I'd really
she can breathe in air. This is the whole point of a mermaid, right?
But if she's in space,
mermaids in space.
Is that what you made the comment? Like traveling through space is like, then how is she breathing in space?
I'm not in a spaceship of some kind.
She needs to be in like an entire wheelchair tank.
I didn't realize I had to write the whole damn book for you. Jeez.
I like the idea of like the Harry Potter kids, the Harry Potter crew, probably like, 15, 16-year-olds, but I like the idea of them being in like a zombie movie, some kind of actual horror movie.
Like an actual horror, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
But then I wouldn't watch it.
I don't know that I would either because I don't enjoy horror, but I just think that Neville Longbottom would be the shiz. I think he would rip up everyone. Plus, he would be able to like farm all the plants and keep everyone alive.
I was like, but someone has to die. Who are you killing off? There's always, most of the people die in horror movies, and you only have like one or two survivors.
Who's the stoner? Because every horror movie, like every Cabin in the Woods, has a stoner.
Hermione and Neville are surviving, and everyone else dies.
Luna's the stoner.
Sounds good to me.
I could also see Draco Malfoy being the stoner.
No, he's like the bad boy
he's
whiner. That's constantly.
He gets them killed. He gets other people killed.
That's true.
Yeah, he doesn't take it seriously enough.
Or is too much of a pansy.
True.
So,
that's a good point.
Let's spin that wheel. All right. We only have a few left, I think. So let's see. Number six. Number six. What? Oh, okay. I like this one because it was my question.
Yeah.
What book do you want a nice leather-bound edition of that is not currently available on the market that you know of?
Oh.
There are all sorts of. You can get like Eastern Press versions of all sorts of stuff, but we don't know what all those are. So yeah. So you don't know of a leather-bound edition of it. What would you like to get? Any thoughts off the top of your head? So obviously, The Lord of the Rings is out. That's got 1,000 leather-bound editions. The Cosmere stuff, that's all coming out. So that's kind of out.
I'm trying to figure out why I want a leather-bound edition of anything.
Oh, really?
No, you don't have to worry about that. Just
if you don't know why, then you don't deserve one.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm very serious.
Yeah. Okay.
Brian and I have spent a lot of money on his leather-bounds. And a lot from Brandon Sanderson, because those are all of his leather bounds. And I don't think he has cracked any of them open.
Oh, you don't read them?
Really?
Exactly. Like, I don't understand
I do.
I am spending hundreds of dollars on a book when it doesn't get opened. Like, what is the... Why? Like,
there
is the joy of collecting.
There is a pleasure. Yeah, there's a pleasure in having.
Yeah.
And
like finding them and
that can be taken
them.
too far. You get into rank consumerism just for the sake of consumption, right? Like it can go too far, but there is a joy in having something and possessing something.
And these read differently than just a normal like hardcover.
So I will say the leather-bound version of Elantris. I've actually read all of my leather-bound Sanderson except for The Way of Kings. I haven't gotten to that one yet. Wow. But when we were doing Elantris on the podcast. I can't remember what the context was, but it was somewhat recently, within the last couple of years, which tells you how old I am. That was recent. And I had Elantris in like the mass market paperback, and I'm reading through that, and I got about a third of the way through it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got this fancy leatherbound edition sitting up here. I wonder. And so I pulled it off the shelf and opened it up. Legit was a better reading experience. The margins are better. The printing is better.
From your paperback.
Yeah. Or from Kindle, which you can customize to a certain point. But no, like you have just the weight of the book in your hand. You have the top, bottom, and side margins are there's an actual mathematical formula to them being
to a leather bound copy as opposed to a hardback copy.
So my point is just that with these leather bound, like the Sanderson leather bound, and this Lord of the Rings one I've got up here, like if they're printed well, it's not just about it looks pretty on your shelf, that's great, but it's not just the leather that's deluxe. It's the stuff inside.
I do know that some of them have extra content, extra foot pictures, artistry stuff that's in them. But
I imagine it's like people talk about how like all of the Disney stuff is so expensive. You go to Disneyland, it's expensive to get in, and food is expensive, and all the stuff is. True. It's all like it's high quality stuff. So I imagine it would be the same thing with like these leather bound books. If you're spending a lot of money on them, they're high quality.
Yeah. I will point out so I have my Sanderson leatherbounds up there on the shelf next to leatherbound Terry Brooks. And they were the same price. So each book was $100, but the Terry Brooks version, they did not, as John Hammond would say, spare no expense. They spared plenty of expenses. And you can tell as you're reading it, just that the paper quality isn't quite as good. The pages are more cramped. The text is cramped. Little things like that. The illustrations in that one show up terribly. They're not. Bummer. It doesn't look good. So anyway, when you're talking about a leatherbound book, it does matter. It does make a difference as you're reading. And I'm sure there'll be people that disagree with me, but if you like having a physical book in your hand as opposed to an audiobook or a Kindle, then the difference between reading a mass market paperback and a deluxe leatherbound it's vast. So I think there is something to it. With that in mind, we've gotten away from the actual question.
Sorry, I have an answer now. I was just curious.
I know. I've been thinking about it.
Why?
Which Regency
We're
romance?
Not saying you're doing
it's not,
it.
Actually. It's not a Regency romance at all. I have two that I would kind of debate with. Ready Player One. And it's more just because it's an important book to me. I don't really care what anyone else thinks of the book.
Right.
Or whatever.
Did it come along in a pivotal time in your life or something like that?
Yeah, it was just one of those books that it spoke to me. It's one that I enjoy. I read. It's probably one of the few books that I have read multiple times. Mm-hmm. One that I probably read at least once a year. And so, or listen to, because that's usually what I do. But that's one. The other one that I thought of was the Ender's Game series.
The four kind of Ender books.
Well, I liked Bean's books better. So I might gravitate more that storyline. But that was another. That was probably one of the the first fantasy sci-fi kind of books that I got into without Ryan handing it to me first.
Right.
If I could get a slip-cased dual leather-bound edition of Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow, I'd be a very happy man. Yeah.
So, and this was all still in my adult life that I read all of these. But yeah, those are kind of those two book series that I feel made an impact on me that if I could, I wouldn't mind having a collector's something on my shelf.
All right. Yeah. Panda, you got anything?
I have questions.
Okay. We got to dig more into this.
We have to clarify.
I like
this. Yes.
What do you got?
Is
Make
it
Craig think.
Is it exclusive?
Make Craig think.
I thought you said, is Craig gay? And I was like, well, we can dig into that if you want, but.
Wow.
That took a turn.
We can.
Okay. All right.
We can and we shall.
That was not one of my questions.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Is this like an exclusive leather bound, or you're just saying like if you could have it in leather bound edition?
Oh, so do you mean like this is literally just your copy, or is this an edition
that's 50 copies in the world, or is it signed? Like,
I guess I interpret this more as there is now a leather bound edition available to the market.
Okay.
Like anybody can take a book to a bookbinder and make it a leather-bound book, right? So I don't know that that's quite what we're talking about. I'm thinking more like deluxe leather-bound editions. Yeah.
For me, I think I'm more along your lines about sentimentality. So I really, really love Ella Enchanted.
Oh my gosh, I do too. I was thinking about that one too.
So I would
said that
love to have a deluxe leather-bound edition of that.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I really want someone to finally bite the bullet and make a 15-book run, leather-bound Wheel of Time. I want
Thousands of dollars later.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, I want the Wheel of Time in leather.
Do you want to just call Brandon's
Fine
team
Corinthian
and
leather.
ask?
So yeah, at this point, like he really, I wonder what would happen with the Wheel of Time, because certainly the Cosmere books have been wildly successful with their leather-bound editions.
20 some odd million. I don't know.
And now Stephanie has waited. It's over 30 now.
I can think of a convention full of people who would buy that.
I know, right?
Editions.
So anyway, yeah, I want the Wheel of Time. I want it. I want it bad. I want it bad.
See, the first series that came to my mind was Malazan, but I haven't finished it. So I don't know if I actually want.
So you might get to the end of it and want to hurl it across the
know.
room. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, let's spin that wheel. I think we have
Scary.
time for maybe a couple more. Let's see what we got. All right, what'd you land on? Number 7. Oh my gosh.
We're just going to go up
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, this really has been fairly orderly, hasn't it? Number 7. What are you most looking forward to at Legendariumcon? I don't remember who asked this, but Panda. I think this is a Panda question.
Well,
Panda, what are you most looking forward to at
meeting
Legendarium?
all of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's over now. So,
Oh, well, I guess I don't.
is
need
this
to go.
you asking for a refund of your ticket? Or
Actually, yes. Can I? No. I think it'll be fun to just really interact with people that I've been talking to on the internet for however long, 2 years now. So yeah, that aspect. And also, we're all gonna go to Powell's, right?
Oh, it's happening. Yeah. Over my very alive body at Powell's.
Okay.
Yeah. No, let me back up a little bit and just say, I talk a lot. Like when I talk about, hey, go check out Discord, join the Discord server. You can join in the conversation, whatever. I will sometimes say, yeah, it's the nicest corner of the internet. And then I just kind of move on. We got an episode to go through. But let me just dwell on that for a moment. The people on our Discord server are amazing. And I mean that with all sincerity. We have, as far as I've been able to find, the best and kindest corner of the internet.
Yeah.
That's not to say that everybody agrees with each other all the time. There's lots of fun, heated discussions about this and that and the other. Like but that's part of the fun, right? And I'm really looking forward to, in a very small way. I mean, it's going to be, maybe a couple dozen of us. I don't know, and unless everybody listening to this jumps on the bandwagon, it's going to be a few dozen of us, maybe kind of gathering in Portland. But I'm looking forward to that. Like exporting that from the internet into the real world and seeing how that goes. Because it really is a delightful place. And we'll see how that goes in real life. I don't know. That and I don't know. Little Red Book has been talking a lot about where we're going to eat. And she's very excited about a few things. So
I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah. All right. Any other thoughts? Legendariumcon? Megan's not going.
Megan's not going.
I'm so sorry.
She was going to go.
Sorry. As of a week ago, I was going to go. Sorry.
Stephanie, you're going?
I am. I'm going.
Okay.
Ryan
Okay,
and I will
good.
be there. I think I kind of agree. It's that finding out who these people are on the internet. You never know quite who they are when you're meeting people on the internet. So to meet them in real life and be like, oh yes, you are as charming and witty as you are online.
I know, that's my favorite. When you meet someone, you're like, you
someone.
are exactly what I thought you would be. And that makes me so happy.
Have you, Stephanie, have you been to the Pacific Northwest?
I have not.
Okay. So that's also what I'm so excited for, is to get you and Ryan up to the Pacific Northwest and see what it's all about.
We started planning a trip and then you moved to Utah. So
Did you were planning to come up?
Yep, we were planning on coming up, and then you were like, "Oh, by the way, we're moving to Utah." We're like, "Well, there goes that plan." So then we never
lived there.
went
Right
on.
now, right at this very moment, we started planning our joint trip up to Seattle. I want to go to Seattle with you and Ryan. That sounds like fun.
Please come.
So, all right, let's spin that wheel.
Oh, yes.
It's like, what do we have
We have
left?
like two more.
Maybe 2 more. Yeah, like 1 and 8.
1 and 8.
What do you know? It landed on 1. Which animated Disney character do you think is the most like you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not who do you aspire to be? It's which one is you.
Who is the most like you? And now clearly for me, is that Disney? The Russian one with the guy that every girl has a crush on.
Anastasia?
Yeah, Anastasia.
That is not
It's
Disney.
not
Dimitri? Is that not
Not
Disney?
Disney.
Okay.
I do see that,
Because that's totally
though.
me. It's just wildly attractive. Everybody loves me.
See, and I was thinking more
Charismatic.
like grumpy.
Yeah. Barely keeping yourself out of prison.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this one. What about you guys?
For me, it's Jane from Tarzan.
Okay. All right.
You know,
see
just
it.
Yeah.
talking
Isn't
and
that Minnie
talking,
Driver?
talking to no, yeah.
Wonderful
Minnie
voice.
Driver talking, just doesn't take a breath. If she's telling a story, pretty awkward. We'll talk to inanimate objects and creatures walking by. You know, oh, here I am, and oh, you just took my painting. Well, how dare you? Going to talk to you for a while, little
And
monkey.
he took my boot.
Daddy, he took my. I used to do that whole monologue. It's my favorite thing. But yeah, I just feel like she is. So, and she finally gets to Tarzan. She's like, well, I can't talk to you because you're a boy. So that's all very
All right.
relatable.
All right. Anybody else?
I've got 2 answers.
Oh.
So I do think Miko. I do like to eat. So
Oh yeah.
and Trash Panda.
What's Miko from?
The raccoon.
He's the raccoon from
From
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
But then there's also the moose from
From Brother Bear.
Is that Disney?
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, whoa! Wow!
Sheesh.
I feel attacked.
Yes.
Holy smokes!
You are attacked.
Okay.
We're attacking you.
All right.
because they make really dumb jokes.
I never saw it.
It's been a long time.
Oh, shout out to Yeti Beats, Brother Bear. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
continue.
I now need to watch that again.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
It's one of those underrated Disney movies that
Agreed.
don't get watched.
Yeah.
I am Tigger through and through.
Oh, yeah.
Always have been, always will be.
All right.
Love it.
I don't know if I have one. Do you guys have one for me?
Is he rabbit?
What?
You said grumpy.
Grumpy?
So
The,
like-
the
Is he
dwarf?
rabbit?
Yes, from
no,
Snow White.
I'm sorry. I was thinking rabbit from the whole Winnie the Pooh rabbit. Okay, never
I'm
mind.
trying
Oh,
to think
kind
of
of.
somebody who pretends to be grumpy, but really he's Eeyore.
No,
No.
Eeyore's sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not that sad.
Owl.
not.
I mean, I don't know why we're hooked on this whole Winnie the Pooh thing.
Are hooked on Winnie
Where he
the
talks
Pooh.
a lot and no one actually understands anything he says.
Maybe like who are the Beatles from was it Jungle Book that has the vultures that are the Beatles?
I
Yes.
love the vulture.
Maybe
the
something
vultures
like that.
that are.
Oh.
What do you want to do? I don't know. Oh, don't start that again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's been too long since I've seen those. Yeah. I got nothing. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Aladdin. No, the Sultan. I'm the Sultan from Aladdin. There you go.
All right.
Jolly, airheaded.
Easily manipulated.
Yeah.
Short and chubby.
Yeah. There you go.
Doting on your daughter.
Well, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. A lot of that.
Yeah.
All right.
How
Well,
does your son feel about that?
I don't know.
He's the street rat.
He's got his nose stuck in video games too much to notice. So that's his version of getting spoiled. Okay. Do we
I
have
think the last question.
we actually made it through all these? I'm impressed.
Think
Did we
that
do 8?
We just had number 8.
Just number 8 left. Okay. What would be your next deep dive? Okay. So I think this is like for the show.
Yeah.
Like what would we do on the show? What would be our next deep dive? Was this your question, Panda? Okay. So am I getting the question right?
Yes, you are.
Elaborate. So we've done deep dives on
You did
Like
the year of
Tolkien.
Sanderson, right? Tolkien. Yes.
the Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time.
So what would our next?
All the episodes that I haven't listened to.
Well, you guys did
So many.
You guys did deep dives on both Dune and Dresden.
Huh?
But I guess by deep dive at a certain point, how do we define this? Is it just a long series that we get through, or is it like
Do we do
what I'm?
fairly not religiously, but like we have
Regularly.
calendar.
It's like
Yes,
a
that's the
series.
word.
Like you're doing a series.
Yeah.
Okay.
like a
Episode
big series. Are we
So-
all burnt out on the big series right now?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think it's been long enough since we did a legit huge series. Speaking for me and Ryan, that I think we could probably dive into one. I know a lot of people are going to want me to say Malazan.
We got that covered. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. So go to
Thank
the
you.
Green Team podcast. What the Green Team of the Legendarium?
Yes.
Or just Green Team of the Legendarium. People
Green
can
Team
search
of the
that.
Legendarium.
Yeah. So go on your podcatcher. You can check out Green Team of the Legendarium, and
I follow them on Podbean.
So they've done Malazan. So yeah, thank goodness we don't have to.
Do you want to be a guest on one of the episodes without having read all the 6 books leading up to the 7?
That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Honestly,
I tried.
Well, I'll do another show though for sure. Good question. Do we have any other candidates for things that we haven't done yet?
Would you like? I know you've done a handful of the Pratchett books, mostly because B-Sand wanted to talk about them. But would you want to get in and just
really get
read
into Pratchett?
a ton of them?
I don't think so. Just because Pratchett is actually really valuable to me as a palate cleanser, as a
just kind of, it's so niche that
Jump
if too
in,
much
jump
of it would
out.
be kind of obnoxious.
Well, yeah, and it's so I've read 3 Pratchett books now, and while they deal with different subjects very deftly,
Right.
they're all very Pratchett.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so if I try to read 30 Discworld books, one after the other, I imagine it would wear a little bit thin after a
So
while.
you might have to do it go between that and another series
Right.
at the same time. Because there is a part of me, because I've also just read a handful of those books, and they are very Pratchett-y, which I don't know is necessarily my thing, but I also have a sense when I'm reading them that I'm missing something because there are so many characters that weave through. And so I'll have friends who just love these books who are like, oh yeah, and have you noticed the Watch goes through these, and they have, so they're like, I really want you to read this book, but you have to read these 3 first for the context.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, and I never write them down.
Okay, so let me give 2 possible answers. One that is only a possibility kind of in the fantasy realm of the fantasy realms that we talk about.
Okay.
And that would be Robin Hobb. Okay. People might be surprised to hear this, but because we had a very difficult time with the first Robin Hobb book. What's it called? The Assassin's Apprentice?
Yes.
So we had a tough time with that in large part just because it was so unexpected for us. We hadn't read anything like that recently, and so we weren't prepared as podcast people, with the exception of Kyle. Kyle just hated it. The rest of us were, I think, unprepared for it. But over the course of the 2 books after that, I came to better appreciate her style and what she was going for. I didn't ever get really, really into it. Oh my gosh, obviously I haven't read any of the rest of the series after those first 3 books, but I did come to understand it a little bit better and see what she was going for and appreciate it and respect it a little more. And a lot of people have said, well, if you just get to, this sub-series, I don't know, there's
I think it's 16
something
books.
like that, 15, 16 books, and there's all these sub-series, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you get to this one, it's one of the most amazing things you've ever read. And that's really intriguing to me now that I've kind of got a grasp of her style. And so that's one that I wouldn't mind if we ever did. But I think if the question is what's the next kind of longer series that we'll make our way through, it'll probably be Joe Abercrombie, which I've talked about before. In fact, Ryan and Kyle and I were talking last week about maybe starting that one up in April, potentially.
Are you starting with the blade
itself?
Okay.
Yeah. So we haven't done a ton of Grimdark stuff. We've done Grimdark adjacent, and we might have dipped into Grimdark, but we haven't really done a whole series like that. And so I think that might be the next one that we do. So how's that for your answer?
That's great.
Have you read Abercrombie?
No. Okay. Selfishly, though, the Paracel Protector with Ken.
The
Yes.
Paracel.
Oh my gosh.
What's it called? The
Are you liking
Paracel
this idea?
Protectorate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Gail Carriger.
All right.
I will pay. I mean, I do pay already, but I will pay more.
Thank you.
For those episodes.
We have
Okay.
talked about it.
Yeah, Stephanie and I have both read these books.
Yeah.
Did you finish the series, all 5?
No, I only got through the first 2.
Okay.
And then we're bringing Ken, and Ken has no idea what he's getting into.
This is
I'm so curious whether he would like them.
just, and I don't even want you to tell me what they're about. I really don't. All I want to know is that Ken has to read something called the Paracel Protector,
Yes.
and I am happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. So
Yeah, because he really did not enjoy the Lunar Chronicles, so I'm not making him talk about this. I appreciate him reading them because of his friendship with me.
right.
At least these are, in my opinion, better.
If
Yeah.
Yes, I think
you-
It's a little bit, it would be more appealing to a wider range.
I think
you
they're a
had to
little
read, you had to read A Princess of
adult,
Mars.
more adult-ish,
So
right?
he has to
Did.
read.
Than a teenage kind of, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, for sure.
And then I'll recommend one that I think you would like, but it's just a one-off.
But I just started reading The Blade itself, so,
Oh, did you?
or listening to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple chapters into it a while ago. I dropped off, not because it was bad. I just had other things going on.
Yeah,
So.
I kind of haven't kept going with it. I got into a TV show, and now I'm binging 16 seasons of a TV show.
Uh-oh.
So
The Supernatural.
Diners,
Did you
drive-ins,
say to
and
try it again?
dives.
yes, no, it's CSI.
You're the queen of Flavortown.
CSI,
That's a really interesting concept in the
original?
idea for whole vampire.
the Las Vegas seasons.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Didn't
We have
go.
to go back to our earlier question now. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Which fantasy character do we want to see on an episode? Would it be like Rock?
Yeah,
Making
he'd be a
his
good
stew?
one. The other one I thought
Oh.
of is
Interesting.
what did I just read that had the god that liked to cook?
What?
Man,
The god that liked
Ryan gave me this book series, and
somebody's shouting into their
there
headphones right now.
he was a demigod or something, and he would cook. He could cook anything. What is that series called?
His name was
Wow.
Figuieri.
No,
He was a demigod with hair
Or he thought
the
he
color
was.
of flames.
gosh.
Ay,
Let's see.
Gary.
What did I just listen?
I mean, I could see like Polgara the Sorceress would be really good on that show.
That would be pretty good. All right, I
She's
think
probably still alive,
We're
too.
now scraping the bottom of Rock's barrel for content, so we better call it there. Panda,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
This-
letting me join.
This was excellent. This is a great time. And so, yeah, once again, I hope people, if you haven't checked it out yet, go to wherever you listen to your podcasts and just type in Green Team of the Legendarium, and you'll find their episodes. Panda, help me out. You guys do a lot of subjects. It's not just necessarily like, book reviews, but you do dip into stuff that we skip, like Malazan, right?
We do.
Was the genesis of Green Team basically we're tired of waiting for them to do Malazan?
You know, I actually cannot really speak to that because I joined after the podcast started. So you'll have to go ask Little Red and Kip Dan.
All right. Well, anyway, so yeah, I hope people go check that out. I don't listen to every single episode, but I do listen to a lot of them because I haven't read everything you guys have done.
Same
but
for me to you.
But they're fun,
Yeah.
and I hope people will go check them out.
Yeah.
And obviously go to thelegendarium.com where you can go to Patreon and Discord and the Legendariumcon that we're doing in Portland, May 28th. Please be there. It would be lovely to have you, whoever you are. Let's see YouTube. Yeah, check out all 4 of our long, luscious locks on YouTube. And, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.